done the territory potential, we now find out how you have performed in your territory. Performance needs some norms, internal comparison and external comparison, or competitive comparison. In this video, we will look at all of these aspects and try to see how you can calculate the performance of your particular territory. So as we said, there are 4 ways to look at it. One is, of course, looking at it and looking at the benchmarks and norms which have been set, looking at the internal comparison, and looking at the external. And external can be with other companies, or it can be competitive in nature. It depends how you want to look at this comparison. To arrive at territory performance, compare the KPIs or targets across some time period and across other territories and other competitors. You have to study the data intensely to derive meaningful analysis and stories. What I'm going to give is to present some bit of data to you for a territory of a distribution manager, where we have these 3 distribution managers. Under them there are some distributors and there are some towers, which is catering to a particular population in a particular town, the number of URO outlets and the UAO 1+ outlets. In your note sheet you will see many more such information given. So this will belong to the DM Sudhanshu. This is the other DM, DM2 and DM3. Now when we look at the distributors that they have, this compares the rural, the direct distributors as well. We are seeing that this person has 36 of them, this has 52, and this is 43. Towers 153, 287 and 265. Now population is 14.2. this is in lakhs. So we as from the Indian side we understand the concept of lakhs here, and this one is 21.91. Number of URO outlets 2355. This person has 3713, and here we have got 4023, and the UAO is 1207, 2266 and 2900. Now when we compare this data, what can we look at it? We can obviously compare the direct data, which is very 101 kinds, where you see that how many retailers does he have, what is the population that they are catering to. That's a very direct data comparison that we can do. Otherwise, what can you analyze from the data set provided? Can you analyze that Sudhanshu, our DM in question, does he have a good territory? Is he doing well compared to others? So while we can look at the data sets directly, as we said, we can also look at some of the ratios out here. The ratios are things like population by the number of towers. Okay, so these ratios eliminate the size of the number and compare it. So it would say that in one tower how much of population is being covered, and therefore if we have the revenue details available to us, we can then compare and see per tower how much revenue is being generated. So it's important for you to look at the direct comparison over time, as in across months, and then also look at it from the perspective of ratio wise calculation. Yeah, do your analysis here on your workbooks and you'll see that Sudhanshu seems to have a good enough territory out here. But then let us now look at another data set which is comparative in nature. And here what we'll do is that we'll look at voice revenue, we will look at data revenue, we will look at towers, we will look at distributors, and we will also look at the DSEs, which is the distributor sales executives. How many distributor sales executives are there for this particular purpose? And let us look at the urban data which is available. Remember, urban and rural can be two different landscapes altogether, and we look at for three operators. One is called V, one is called I, and the other is called A. Now when we look at the urban landscape, the voice revenue of V is 600, this is 300, and A is 750. If I look at data revenue, again 101, this one is 30, this one is 150. Obviously the dips and the skews can be seen out here. This is 212, this is 180, and this is 245. This number is 13, 10, and 11. And the DSCs we have is 44, 35, and 48. Now we can, as we discussed earlier, we can compare the unique numbers to itself. We can compare this over time, over months, and we can also look at the ratios. So while the direct number comparison can be carried out and is done often, a comparison of revenue by DSE. So this is the revenue and this is the DSE numbers. So revenue by DSE shows different levels of income for operators V, I, and A. Also, if we look at towers and we try to see that how much of revenue is being generated by the towers per tower, that shows a different level of utilization and operational efficiency. So what's important is that while we look at the absolute numbers, we must also look at the ratios and try to compare across ratios. So what's the point? We have compared, great. So what do we do with it? So with this, we try to identify opportunities. We try to identify what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. And once we identify what are the strengths and weaknesses, we can identify what are the opportunities and where are we not so strong, or what are the threats. We can put it in the classical matrix form here. Now, say when we go to the market, we say that a strength is the activation TAT. Now, if this is our strength, then what's the opportunity from it? We can get a happy retailer, and so no hassle-free activation. So we have got a happy retailer, and therefore we have happy customers. At the same time, if we have a new competitor who has no basically legacy issues, therefore he's a new guy who has come in, it's obviously a weakness that we might be pushed into. But how do you handle this? So what is this? The threat is, of course, retailers going for it, shifting loyalty. Now if the MBOs, retailers, they shift loyalty, then we might lose market coverage. That is obviously a threat. So how do we mitigate this threat? And of course, to mitigate this threat, we can look at new packs or new product packs coming out and better service levels by the distributor. Now when we do like this, automatically what we are actually doing is to convert this whole understanding of the market, the whole understanding of the territory performance, trying to see where are we strong, where are we weak, compared internally, compare it externally. Thereafter see what can we do about it, and therefore makes plan about it. Such an analysis gives rise to opportunities. The strengths of V operator can be identified, and then opportunities can be created accordingly. So as a salesperson or as a DM, be very observant of what is happening in the market and work closely to seize the opportunity and mitigate the threats. This video has been created for internal training purpose only, and this is a part of the DM workshop. Do think about it and let me know what is there which you think is important.